I'd like to talk about the MC5 a little bit. As I said, the most famous band you've never heard of, but if you're a fan of punk music and the origins of punk music, you might have heard of them. You might have heard of their only real hit, Kick Out the Jams. But they are mentioned in our book. They received a mention, page 162. Only two rock groups have been formed with political mandates. One was the MC5, managed by White Panther John Sinclair. John Lennon later went on to write a song about John Sinclair. Using slogans like "Revolution for the Hell of It" and "Armed Love," the MC5 declared in their manifesto that everything was free for everybody, that everything sucked: school, leaders, money, even underwear. The MC5 declared itself ready to do anything they could to move people out of their heads and into their bodies. Rock and roll was felt to be the spearhead of this attack because it was effective and so much fun. The MC5 claim to have developed organic, high-energy guerrilla bands who are infiltrating the pop culture and destroying millions of minds in the process. With our music and our economic genius, we plunder the unsuspecting straight world for money and the means to carry out our programs and revolutionize its children at the same time. When the MC5 got into a fight with a major chain of record stores because of curse words on their record albums, which we'll talk about in just a minute, I have the album right here. When the MC5 got into a fight with a major chain of record stores, they took out an ad telling their fans to knock down the walls of the store. This offended Elektra Records, who dropped the group. Right here, page 162. Hey, I bet there'll be a question about that in the quiz. I just happen to have the album right here, the MC5, formed in Detroit. Motor City 5, the MC5, look at that perfect condition. This is actually a re-release. It's not the original album, a re-release. The original album was banned, was pulled from stores. All of this inner liner notes was removed from the record album because it uses some rather inflammatory language. The MC5 is the revolution in all its applications. There is no separation. Everything is everything. There is nothing to fear. The music that will make you strong as it is strong, and there is no way it can be stopped. All power to the people. The MC5 is here now for you to hear and see and feel now. Give it up. Come together. Get down, brothers and sisters. It's time to testify. And later goes on to say the MF word, which was also said on the record itself. And therefore the record was pulled and was edited, but then, as we just read, the MC5 came out with their great statement to knock down the walls of the stores that would not carry their records, and then Elektra Records dropped the group. And interestingly enough, the guitar player Fred Sonic Smith later went on to marry punk poet Patti Smith. But this type of music, MC5, very revolutionary proto-punk, was a big inspiration on bands such as the New York Dolls and, more importantly, the Ramones, the Clash, and the Sex Pistols. The MC5 from Detroit, along with Iggy Pop, another proto-punk revolutionary. So Detroit was really a hotbed of the punk movement, the early punk movement in the 60s. And be sure you read the article. Some very interesting stuff. Really, in the second article, kind of how the hippies spawned this, the breakdown of the hippie movement in the late 60s and turning it into a more of a revolutionary thing. The MC5 did show up for the 1968 Democratic Convention. Again, they were a very politically motivated band and did play for the 1968 convention. I did have the opportunity to see the MC5 back in Detroit in, I don't know, 68 maybe. Yeah, I did grow up in Detroit and fortunately did get an opportunity to see the MC5. I honestly don't remember much about the night. I was only 15 years old and I think I was talking to a girl. I know what you're thinking. I was not doing anything else. I was only talking to girls. And those were famous times, great times. So the MC5, the most famous band you've never heard of. But if you Google them, you will find a ton of information about the MC5. Their videos are all over YouTube. Very interesting band, very interesting time when music was revolutionary and the revolution could all be about free love and guns. And what a combination, free love and guns and free drugs and free sex and the MC5.